That's one of the questions I wanted to ask you. I mean, is it enough for the Democratic Party to be the anti-Trump party?
No. I mean, it's a part of it
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you have a responsibility as an opposition party, especially when someone violates your values like he does. You got to fight like heck to against them, but you got to have an affirmative agenda. We did a roundtable the other day with Sherrod Brown on trade in Warren, Ohio. We've had thousands of people lose their steel jobs. Steel mills closed down. The third shift at General Motors laid off. They're talking about laying off more people, and we're having this conversation with about 10 union people. And one woman was talking about very kind of emotionally, like, what are we going to do? What are our kids going to do? And I think it's not 2005, when we said, oh, Bush is going to privatize Social Security and this war is going bad, put in the Democrats. And no one really knew who the Democrats were at that point, but they put us in. Now we have a very negative brand. And so we've got to reinvent ourselves. And I think we've got to get creative with what we're talking about on how we're going to literally put people back to work. Not, oh, we're going to put people back to work, or we're going to spend government money to put people. Like, what is the plan that you can talk to a steel worker in Youngstown or a coal miner in West Virginia and say, and it makes sense to them, like, this is a realistic plan that Tim Ryan has that's actually going to put me back to work.
Right.
And if we don't have that, on jobs, on health care, then I think they may put us back in. I don't know. But then when we get back in, what are we going to do? What's our brand? What do we stand for?
And that's got to be like right now, right? Starting in 2018.
I think so. I mean, things are out there. It's broadband. I may have mentioned this last time I was on. For every 10% penetration in broadband, you get 1.2% growth. Hell of an investment.
Yeah.
So why don't we sit down with Google Fiber folks and AT&T and the telecommunications companies and let's figure out how we lay broadband in every corner of the country. Into coal country. If you're in southern Indiana and you're homeschooling your kid, you should have access to all the information that you need to homeschool your kid. Or if you want to start a factory in Youngstown for really advanced manufacturing, which is really the only kind there is now in America anyway, how do you have the capabilities to download the files that you need to be able to do the high-end advanced manufacturing? Because a lot of communities are completely locked out because they don't have the fiber. They don't have the capabilities of taking something from Boeing and downloading it to a shop in Youngstown. They don't have the capabilities to do that because the fiber capabilities aren't there. That's one. A job can't be outsourced. They're paying people $50 an hour in upstate New York to lay Google Fiber. Pretty damn good job. $50 an hour. I mean, 30 is a good job. Smart grid, another job, can't be outsourced. Waste a ton of energy. Our grid is not secure. There's all kinds of issues going on. Let's rebuild the smart grid. And I think what we've got to do is we've really got to get away from, oh, I'm going to train you, Bill Press, for some job that's coming. I'll tell you about that later, but you need to get retrained and go over to this community college and drop $5 or $10,000. No one buys that anymore, right? I think you've got to say you're hired. You're hired to do broadband. You're hired to do the smart grid. And we'll train you as an apprentice, and we'll give you maybe 40%, like a lot of the construction trades. We'll give you 40%.
I was going to say construction trades have been doing that successfully for years.
Why can't we do that? That's, to me, is very practical and can be explained and needed, and it changes the trajectory of the country. So those are two real simple things that I think we could be able to do.
It's critical that you're out there talking about this because I think it's become very, very clear that the current administration, this is not a priority for them.
Yeah.
This is not like at all on any level, right? And it also kind of, in a wistful way, when I look back at the years of Barack Obama, where we managed to keep things on a fairly even keel. We weren't worried about, war with 6 or 7 different countries every day. That we could like look at things like this and take those big swings at things like the cancer moonshot, or like making sure that the rest of the country gets caught up with a lot of the bigger cities. Not even on the radar right now for Donald Trump.
Yeah,
not even on the radar.
Well, it takes you figure out, okay, how are we going to finance land broadband around the country? How are we going to finance the grid? I mean, this would take thought, and it would take compromise, and it would take bringing in both parties and industry and labor. But if you're going to do something big, you got to do that. And that's what you worry about with Trump, is that, his attention span is not quite long enough to do a lot of things, but
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
definitely not put together a real comprehensive plan. But my fear is,
Well-
other countries are putting tens of billions of dollars into these kind of things. And if there's so much potential in this country that if we would unleash it by, not having broadband today is like not having a road go to your community. Can't get the raw materials in, can't get the product out. We're not locating there. You're not by water 200 years ago. We're not going to build a factory anywhere but where there's water. You got to get it in and out.